duly constituted. Let's go. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I have a few issues, but they may not be ads. They may just be part of new business, Mandy. Under 7, you have subcommittees and appointments. Good. B, insurance. Are you able to provide us an update?
What might that update look like?
Where do we stand on the presentation we have?
Well, we had already renewed for this year. That's potentially our option for next year. We have to give MIA 6 months notice. So.
Okay, fine. So scratch the insurance one.
And
organics program.
Yeah, in the shower.
In terms of
The fact that, according to our survey, somewhere between half and 60% of the village is going to be wondering why their trash didn't get picked up this coming Friday. And I want to hear what our plan is.
to send a new e-post and put a notice out on Wednesday.
So
Okay, so we'll discuss that under new business.
C is
There's no B. B, insurance is
gone,
is gone. So it's B, organics program.
organic.
Anybody else?
I have something under, I think it'll fit under committees though, so we'll bring it there.
9 is deleted,
Yes,
one of the 9s.
Yeah. Thanks, Ron. Yeah, good point.
9-1 or 9-2?
the first one.
Delete 9.
Yeah, we don't want to delete the
Approved.
second one.
All right.
It'll be
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so we have as item number 4 the minutes of the previous meeting held on January 6th. I move for adoption. May I have a second?
Oh, sorry, I can't
Oh,
see,
go-
but I have a comment.
Okay, second?
Or
Fred second. Discussion?
The header has the wrong dates in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so you can amend that.
We can have it amended, yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, the motion's on the table. It's been seconded. All in favour for adoption? Opposed? Carried.
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I have a question. If
Oh, speak fast.
I don't know what it means, because 5 says business arising from the minutes, so if we have a question with the minutes, do we do it on 5 or do
Yeah,
we do
no,
it on 4?
the first is just approval that they're correct.
Okay, yes,
Okay?
yes,
They're
4.
correct as far as
Yes.
you're happy with them? Okay, so
Mayor
that
Burr.
was, sorry?
Uh,
Business
Mayor-
arising.
Mayor Burr,
Oh, sorry.
Just
I missed 3.
hang on, just on the minutes. Having looked at many minutes over many years, I can tell you that Ms. Gilroy has done a very succinct and to the point.
This was Haley.
Haley,
Yes.
That's good.
as does Haley. Oh, Shauna did the next one too. There you go. Thank you, Haley. You're perfect.
Yeah, it is perfect, and you will note, yes, we're not noting who moved in second, just that it was,
Yeah.
and it was carried. I should actually point out, if you wish your objection to a vote to be noted, just say a word, and we'll go into the minutes, or vice versa, depending on what happens, if you specifically want your vote to be noted. I skipped something, though, I apologize. Public participation. Public?
I'm just an observer.
And welcome you are. Okay, so we've done 4, moving on to number 5, business arising. Helen, I
Yes.
suspect you have something.
Yes, I have a question. Okay, so for example, when we go to the minutes, and point 3, it says public participation. So a public would ask a question. Where's the response? Is it not, if we include the response, then when someone's looking through the minutes, it doesn't seem like there's just been questions and no
Yeah.
answer.
Good point.
So generally, the minutes would not be narrative unless council's going to adopt that as a practice. That's why we use the audio as a tool. So the minutes and the audio are always supposed to be a tool to go together. And then if there are actions coming out of there, we would be reporting that back on business arising. So it's still a part of the record.
So it's not narrative, yet the question is narrative, but the answer isn't.
Right, so we need to capture what people are asking on the
You're looking
official
at
record.
a previous. You're looking at different meetings minutes.
Okay,
But
but nonetheless,
Helen's point is
in a
valid,
general
though.
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
because otherwise I'm looking at it, and we gave the questionnaires really good answers that would probably, be relevant to a lot of.
But in the committee of the whole, it looks like you're in
No,
the
that's-
regular
It's
council.
in
No,
regular
but-
council, but
Regular council meeting.
so typically what happens is the chair attempts to answer. If the chair cannot, he can assign it. If there's an action item or a resolution coming out of it, then it's noted in the minutes. Otherwise, not.
So the answers are not noted.
Not usually.
Okay, because some of the answers I thought were really
Well,
good.
then maybe we should propose that as an action item to put it in an e-post or something, just as a minor e-post. Minor action item.
Just on
It may
small.
not be an action, it's just when someone asks something and you gave, I forget what was the point, something, so for example, do people, with the water restriction, can we get compensated? And then I think our response was no, so, you know,
Yeah. Well, that was that answer.
but then it's not here.
But the answer is the answer, so whether it's one word or,
Do we want it in the minutes? No, because it doesn't. It's not village policy. It doesn't come unless it does become policy. Yeah, and then
If
it's
it's
an action
informative,
item.
otherwise you just, I don't know.
Okay, well,
That's
let's.
sort of like saying to BC Hydro, if we have a power failure, I want you to refund, give me a credit for the power that I didn't use.
Something like that.
Yeah. Just on a small point of order, Mayor Burr, your name is spelt wrong here.
What? Oh, thank you. I did actually
Yeah,
notice.
present,
Sorry.
and the minutes.
It's happened so often. I don't even notice.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Thanks. So on under 6, CA Kunst will look into the possibility of having alternates on a standing
Mayor
committee and
Burr.
report back to council.
did you want to chat about this some more, Councillor?
I don't know what happened, so what was the response to say,
If you want it in the minutes, so request, or turn it into an action item.
like a non-narrative, but just I don't know, something that would, if I was a public reading it, it would give me more insight, and it would maybe stop my own questioning. Because someone else is it tends to be the questions that are asked by more than one person.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will just as part of the procedural thing. I will, when we answer the question, we'll
Maybe
ask
if
for
it's
the
yeah.
answer to be noted.
Yeah, if it's relevant. Yeah, yeah.
Happy?
Go with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because I did actually notice that as well. Think, well, what was the answer? Did we ignore it? Did we say thanks for your question? Next, please.
And in
No,
my
we
mind,
actually
it was a
answered it.
really good answer. So I don't know what it was,
Who
but it was
answered
good.
it? Was it me?
Generally, yes.
Obviously, you like the
Or
answer.
Mandy. Yeah. No, it was either a Mandy response or you, Carl, and it was like really good. So I'm like, okay.
Okay. Thanks. Good point. We will make that so. On page 2 of the COTW minutes, Mandy, you were going to look into the possibility of having alternates on a standing committee and report back.
Yep, Lidstone has not responded yet.
Okay. Jim, under 7B, you gave an update on the Highway Advisory Group. I can report to you, having met with Jordan Sturdy,
Yep.
who is the Parliamentary Undersecretary to the Minister of Transport, that's not at all what the province believes. The province is of the opinion that was strictly at Lions-based request that all that stuff was put in.
Well,
So
interesting.
I only note that for now because
Yeah.
it's ongoing discussions.
He
so-
wasn't around at that time anyway, so that may
Precisely.
be his perception. We'd have to clear that
That
up.
is, the
Yeah.
perception in the ministry is that we asked for it.
Okay.
True or not?
Interesting.
I've had some questions out of nowhere on this one, and this was before the minutes came out, that council is pushing to have the medians changed.
Who said that?
I heard it from 2 residents. And I believe this is the only published piece, and I believe this is accurate, and the only comment is that,
No.
Have we,
Other
any
than
of us
your
expressed an
conversation.
opinion?
no, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, when there was the serious crash, I did 2 TV interviews, and they asked me about it, and I said, well, that's the design. It was designed by Ministry of Transport. They tell us that the design is a traffic calming design, and for all we know, it would be worse if there weren't these design elements. Or should it have been safer, Mayor Burr? I don't know. Not a highway engineer. I must have said not a highway engineer about 18 times. They never once quoted that part.
Didn't quote that. Well, it's neither here. Anyhow, I think it's asked and answered. I mean, and the
Yeah,
fact
no,
that
we
you
have
met
not
was
done anything.
okay. Good. Thanks.
Although I have reported that Manny and I are meeting with MOT on
Yeah.
Thursday. We have no idea what it's about. It may just be a meet and greet, but we will be going prepared. The Highway Advisory Group, that's still extant, as I understand you to say.
It still
Doesn't mean
exists.
disbanded.
It still exists.
It's a select committee, I'm assuming.
It's a select committee that meets once a year, once every 6 months, if I remember correctly. And it was cut back because of the landscaping issues that were ongoing. And that's all it was left to do. But the members are still intact as far as they're concerned. They're still part of it.
Okay, so Fred, that would fall under your portfolio. We at least just need to know who's on it.
Oh, okay. But shouldn't Jim stay on it if he was
Yeah,
chairing it?
Yeah, for sure. Jim may as well be chair.
Yeah, no, that's
Because it's a subcommittee. It's
I've
a
already
subcommittee
got-
of the infrastructure
I've
portfolio.
already got the email list. I just haven't communicated yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any agenda out there right now, but there may be.
Well, we were waiting for the meeting with, some sort of a meeting from Highways, an indication that they were interested before we started regurgitating this issue.
Yeah, I mean, this just FYI, there's a slew of things that I want to talk about with MOT on Thursday, including your speed is signs, potential for paid parking at the Brunswick Beach interchange. There's about 10 things which I'm drawing a blank on right now. But these will all potentially be quid pro quo for any restrictions they place on the future highway design.
Mhm.
I mean, I was just reading something that Mandy turned up, that the highway design is a 20-year window. Well, so we're already 5 years to the next change.
Well, I think it has to do with the Sea to Sky Highways contract with the government, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
right. That's exactly what it is. It's
Yeah,
the-
it makes sense.
The agreement they signed with I don't want to say the insurance company, the company that overwrites the whole process.
The bond interest?
The bonding, yeah, they're the ones that, because they were from Germany, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. And they had this huge overburden of rules and things they had to have in place, and that was one of them.
Okay, well, whether a redesign takes place in now 15 years' time, I don't know, but that's sort of the scope of the original design. And I think they'll look at to see what traffic does, and then decide if they need to widen or whatever.
The indicator, in my mind, was when they said that they would be, after the Sea to Sky Highway, the next thing they were gonna be attempting was the Harrison-Pemberton Highway. But they haven't even started that yet, and that was supposed to be 2015. So that may be coming before 20, I don't know. So, and then when that does, that's gonna change things here completely.
Well, I think also, if I could add to that, there was some talk pre-Olympics that they were going to do the 4 lanes to 3 lanes in sections, with sometime 5 years after or something.
Yeah.
They were going to do the 3 lanes up to 4 lanes, but I haven't heard any talk about it since pre-Olympics, so I don't know if that's still on the agenda too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't suggest the council takes any position on this, although I know that when that double fatal took place 2 years ago now, the 2 girls, Brenda called a meeting of a whole bunch of people. A lot of people came. The upshot was essentially that MOT took responsibility for the highway. They said this is statistically one of the safest highways in the province. It is designed that way. In some cases, they will be experimenting with actually narrowing the lanes simply with paint, because the wide lanes encourage people to speed. They contend, correctly I'm sure, this is what these guys do for a living, that the highway is pretty dang safe. But when it's 2 lanes, you can't have a median because of the access thing. You need to be able to go around. Andrew was telling me that when it's a 2-lane highway, they are not allowed to go in the opposite lane to get past an accident. They have to go past
They
or
have to go
something?
past.
Yeah, they gotta come around and
Come around the other side. They gotta get through it, get over an overpass and turn around and come
Yeah.
back the other way.
So the accident's in the other lane.
Yeah.
They've got to go right past the accident and come back.
That's the reason we weren't allowed to have, except for key location, we weren't allowed to have turnarounds. We've got one at Ocean Point.
Yeah.
We've got another one down at at the marina down there. And then up on the other side,
Is that a safety thing?
yeah.
Yeah, they don't want people turning
They
around
don't
and killing
people turning around
themselves.
and killing themselves on the highway. And based on my experience with highways, they do believe it's one of the safest highways in Lower
Statistically,
Mainland.
apparently, according to
Statistically, because
this meeting, it was.
it's channelized. It's got, we stopped a lot of the fatal accidents that happened years and years ago. Unfortunately, people drive like idiots. And no matter how you look at it, and you look all over North America, people drive like idiots. And they're gonna blame anybody they can get their hands on.
So this last one, Jordan Sturdy, these guys, it's amazing the detail these guys are up to speed on. So he knew all about that accident. He'd seen the report, which we, of course, will never get to see. I don't think Andrew's even seen it yet. And the guy fell asleep.
We could ask for it.
Could we?
Yeah, we
So
could
it's-
ask for it as a village, a concern, if it goes through our village, we could ask for it and they should be able to give it to the copy of
Well,
it.
so we'll take your advice on that one, that we need to actually get ourselves into those weeds. The point was that particular guy fell asleep.
Yeah.
And he went across the median where
That's
there's no concrete barrier
Yeah.
and got T-boned.
Yeah.
Provincial highway. You know, my concern is that it's taking up our precious fire department time. We lose on every call. Not a lot. And there's a training value to the calls that, you know, we could potentially ascribe to fire department training budget. But, you know, $300 an hour.
Not wanting to be negative. This whole process around the highway needs to be handled very delicately in that we are a municipality that surrounds the highway goes through our heart, and we certainly do not want to be the cause of anybody's demise along the highway. At the same time, we had very little control over design when they were building it. So we have to play that card very wisely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a sensitive issue. There must be never any suggestion that we are withholding support for any change
No.
for the better. Helen, you want to
Absolutely.
say something?
Just to your point about losing money, is it actually the case? Because if it's outside of, I don't know how many, whatever,
It is the case.
we are actually losing, so the money we get back,
It's a
Doesn't cover
minor,
it.
minor recovery.
Yeah.
really only minor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even just the stipends for the guys in the truck take care of it, let alone the risk, insurance costs, fuel,
Truck.
amortization. Yeah, we lose money for every call on the highway. So right now, well, we don't right now, but we will, starting with this budget.
And it's been in negotiation for 5 years,
Yeah.
just going nowhere. It actually, Mayor Burr, it rather pleases me that you and our representative, Mr. Sturdy, are buddy-buddy.
Yeah,
I
like
would-
this.
like that. I mean, first
He bought me a coffee at Starbucks.
speed dialing each other, I'm sure.
Oh,
You paid for
So,
your own.
that's good news on that, congratulations. With the MOT types, are you meeting at a senior level too?
I think these guys are. Give me a second. I'll tell you the titles. Yeah, I think they're fairly senior, like sort of regional manager or provincial manager.
Yeah, good, great,
It's certainly not just local yokels.
good, congratulations to you.
Well, they called for it, so it's nothing I did.
I know your number, but
so who's John Sturdy?
Jordan,
Our
so
MLA.
our
He's
MLA,
at MLA.
just our MLA.
Pemberton.
But it's not John, it's Jordan.
Jordan.
Jordan, yeah.
So I'll report more on that in the full meeting, on that meeting. Anything else?
So is HAG, because here it says HAG should put together a scope documentation, a document on the village position. So will HAG do that?
When we're requested to, we will.
When you're what?
When we're required to, we will. Right now, I don't think that we have any, until we've read the documents or the paper, the police, or whatever the case is, seen any of the reports. I haven't even talked to Andrew about it yet. I mean, we had a couple of words, that was about it. Nothing serious. So, you know, I don't know for sure what happened. That's the first I've heard of the guy fell asleep at the wheel. So
Yeah,
that's exactly what we thought before, something like that.
I think, well, a sad incident which has brought this to highlight, I mean, it's a peripheral issue for Councillor Hughes until it comes forward with more information and then to gather what we want to do, which will be partly with what Mayor Burr does with the MOT types.
Yeah, that's right. Although we did say here that the HAG should put together a scope document on the village's position and bring back to council for review. Do we want to
We
just
could,
defer that?
it's doable. We don't have much information, but it would skimpy, but we could do it.
I'd say let's just defer that for now.
I think I would be wise to talk to some of the senior members on the CAG and see what they have to say. Get some ideas, just to feel them out and see. It's just we're just talking at this point in time.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just to understand what some of the positional elements will be.
Yeah. I think
Hey,
that's
did
a
you
good
think
idea.
about something? No, we didn't think about that. Not a highway engineer.
Then they could ask for resources that they might need to make a fuller scope statement.
Good. Okay, I didn't have anything else arising. Anybody else? No?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on to unfinished business. Mandy.
None?
I've got nothing coming out of Council of the Whole, Committee of the Whole. I would like to propose that we change the name to, what did I say? Council Strategy Committee.
That'd be a great idea.
It's a branding issue. Fred, what did you say? You had a slight modification that was correct. I can't remember now.
Oh, and this one? Oh, I thought you meant some snide remarks. Sorry.
Never.
It wasn't snide, was it?
No, I've been thinking about the rebranding of a few things, and some of them, I kind of wonder about the value. To a large degree, what we call it doesn't matter much to me personally, but if we're going to start changing names, I do get concerned about people who attend our meetings and adding to confusion if they don't understand what we're doing. Some people who don't pay any attention to what we do, we could call it whatever we like, but...
I agree with that. Committee of the whole council is meaningless.
From a perspective, being a new councillor, just coming from the outside, as a couple of us are here, I always had a negative connotation around that term, committee of the whole, because of the history that happened, the way things were handled before. In my books, I agree. Let's just start with saying exactly what it is that we're doing. This is a strategy meeting. That's what it really is. Where
Public
we're
strategy
headed.
meeting. People
Yeah.
are welcome to attend.
Absolutely.
And participate.
Yeah, because we need all the ideas we can get.
Yeah.
But somewhere, oh, sorry.
Sorry, CAO, is there something quasi-regulatory in the vernacular?
I did send an email out about this when it was initially proposed. It's really just aesthetics, if you'd call it a strategy meeting, because in order to effectively make any recommendations that you're going to take forward to a formal council meeting for resolution, you have to have a minuted agenda meeting. So it can't just be a working group around the table for that reason, but
No.
there's nothing to preclude you from calling it whatever you want as long as the business is done in line with the community charter.
Yeah, this was recommended at the LGMA, and it, I hate to use the word resonated, but it resonated. It's correct. Most forward-looking councils have changed the name. COTW, if I haven't said.
It's very interesting because all that stuff is talked about in the community charter, and it's really interesting how it's phrased and worded when you go, and you can go online and instantly access it like that.
Yeah,
And it's amazing how you can see how it all follows through. So without minuted meetings, you've got no ability to do anything.
And resolutions.
Yeah.
If I could suggest, if we do change the name, at least for the first year, in brackets afterwards, you could put something like AKA COTW,
That's a good idea.
just until people get a little more adjusted to
Good
it.
idea.
Sorry, Gus.
Sure.
Give you power then.
He buys donuts.
I think for my piece, this is kind of a rebranding communication. I think to Councillor Hughes' point, the name was always the name because it was the name kind of thing. The information's could be called anything, so.
Okay, well that was just by the by. Oh, sorry.
I think I raised the point that said we could take this opportunity and yes, change the name, but then explain actually what this meeting is, how it's different from the, from the regular meeting.
The business meeting, as they called it. Yeah.
So that it is a
They
strategic.
they were concerned that what these things turn into is a dress rehearsal for a
Yeah.
council meeting, and that is A, not really kosher, and B, pointless. We don't need a dress rehearsal. Ron, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just, regular deal, I forget more than I remember now. I mean, to some of the points that are correct, but we frequently have guest speakers, we have subject matter experts, potpourri of stuff. Just to pick on the word strategy, open strategy, I'm thinking that's fine. I really, it's fine. I'm good with this any way it goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought the other alternative was council committee.
Council
But
committee,
then,
council committee meeting?
Well, at the part of
That's what
the,
this is.
I mean, I guess committee or council or of the whole, it implies that everybody is together. It's not a small group for a specific purpose, whatever that is.
it meant something good when it was first constituted. It's become something of a shorthand for nothing now. Fred, you were going to...
Well,
Fred first.
Okay. The thing I was thinking of is if strategy isn't enough, we put strategy/discussion, because essentially that's what we're here for. We're not here to make a decision.
Well, yeah. Jim?
well, I go back to the fact that there, in my mind, there was a negative connotation about the way the meetings were handled before. And even though it didn't happen, it couldn't possibly happen, a lot of people out there think that village business was being done at those meetings and it was being voted on by council. And that we don't want to go, I know it wasn't, it couldn't be. But the thing is, that was the connotation that's out there by a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people like that.
Well, bear in mind that this is still a public meeting, but maybe
It
it's
is.
not the one that people come to, so
Yeah.
they were maybe felt a bit miffed. But okay, well, we don't have to decide now. It's you know, there's no
It's a
time.
good
for it.
discussion.
If I can just speak to that, though, we will have to modify the procedure bylaw to accurately reflect it. So given that that's in first reading and is supposed to come forward for second, we should maybe have an idea of how we're going to proceed with this
Yeah,
and when.
no, that is the critical part of the item. So it's got to be in the procedures by
Perfect, because that was one of the things I wanted to talk about today. But that's all right, that's good, yeah.
Okay, so
Something off the list.
no unfinished business, no more unfinished business. So we'll move on to the new business, subcommittees and appointments.
So if I can start off, just because this has, I just got a phone call on this morning, following up. Councillor Ronsley participated on the substance abuse working group for the North Shore when she was part of this council. Lions Bay is a voting member of that working group across the North Shore, and they've asked us to, whether it's our intent to identify someone else to take the spot that she left vacant or not, because if the intention is no, they will amend their working group and take away our vote, so they can give it to someone else. I did circulate this by email back in December, but I printed it off again today, just so that you all have it.
Yes. Saw this.
Well, Helen, this is your portfolio. What's your initial take?
My question was, how prevalent is substance abuse in Lions Bay? I don't know.
Well, we've had 2 kids in the last 5 years die of overdoses. 18 and 17 at home in the bedrooms. So it happens anywhere. The question is it something that we officially want to be involved in? Yeah.
What does the involvement entail?
The terms of reference are attached, so. I have asked them if it's possible for council to potentially appoint someone from the community, if that is an option. I don't know, but I figured I would ask right up front. They haven't responded, but.
I think the value of this, this is, I guess, on the first page here, which has got all the membership on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the who's who for networking, I guess.
There's a very similar membership list to the one that I just sent you today.
It was disguised for which was the
Yeah.
housing, but it was called something else.
Exactly. What was that thing again?
Because
I've
it
not
came
seen
from
it
the
yet.
medic. I thought when you see the medical exam or the medical officer, that always struck me so odd. But it was the
It's this North
it was
Shore
the same
Congress.
North Shore. And it was the whole.
Congress, yeah.
I can remember. I agree. It was virtually the same list of folks here.
Oh, that was an invite you sent, was it?
Yeah.
The one
Yeah,
that May
that was the
20th.
end of it, yeah.
So the membership there is all council members,
Yeah.
plus a slew of other people.
Elected government members. is what
Yeah,
they
so
would say.
North Shore Congress is more than just housing. I think it's things affecting the North Shore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have police as well are
Yeah.
involved in that, RCMP and municipal from West Van
Yeah.
as well.
Thank you.
This is more just pretty much straight substance abuse. this
Well,
one.
to your question, Councillor Watterson, we'll meet in person annually or at the call of the membership, so I guess you may want to, we should maybe defer this until unless you've got the website there. When was the last meeting?
The
I get
next
it.
one is tomorrow, their annual meeting is tomorrow. She said when she called me today, so. So we recognize that we probably won't have someone identified by then.
Tomorrow, what time?
Can't say. I can find out.
I'll be happy to go tomorrow. I don't have anything on. And scope out.
You want to just scope it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
It's
I
kind of
have-
an important thing that if you need it, you don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you have something go on, you may want to be able to pull on a group like that really quickly.
Yeah, I agree. So no resolution needed, you're just gonna go. Good.
If I, because I have the school meeting as well.
Yeah, I know, and I have 2 meetings tomorrow as well. Both.
Haley's just gonna email right now and find
Okay,
out.
great.
I'm not sure I can from here, I don't know what's it up.
And then you can come with a recommendation to council whether we want to maintain our membership. Okay. Good. Anything else? So now I have more under that. We've already had a meeting with the infrastructure committee. We've already had a meeting with the finance committee. Government committee, where do we stand?
Haven't done anything with that yet, other than that I'm working on the, I've got 2 members now for the bylaw committee. I've got an urban planner, and I've got Ian Mackey.
Fantastic.
And so that's a great start, and then the rest of them will follow.
So just the backstory there is, that's a subcommittee under
Yeah,
the thing, it's a
that's
select
right.
committee.
That's right.
It needs to be appointed by council when the time comes, so you
That's right.
have to bring it to council.
That's right.
There's no, there can be 1 council member and there's no restriction on membership there.
Okay.
And the idea there is, the terms of reference you're gonna have to come up with.
Well, that's my next step, is to try and get some terms of reference. I talked to Mandy about it today, and I'd like to start correcting something fairly simple, straightforward, and a good mission statement.
Can you be on that committee? Should you be on that committee?
I certainly can participate. How often do you intend to meet?
I can't see it being any more than once a month right now. I really can't.
Yeah, I mean, my thinking is you'll meet, divvy up the bylaws,
Yeah.
come up with a working methodology,
Yeah.
you all read them, then you find out, you put them all in a
Yeah.
pot and see which one's duplicates, if
I
any.
had 2 people could tell me today that our bylaws are abysmal.
Sign them up! Boy, do I have a job for you!
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. So,
Well, I mean, if anybody's been immersed in these, it's you. So I mean, it seems to me that you should, and I mean, so again, this is just a committee of councils. It's not a voting, but so not ex officio, actual. You're just an interested expert. I'm thinking, if there's no structural reason why you can't be, right, other than time, of course. But so there's another potential recruit. So that's good.
I'm careful about Mandy's time. Just
Precisely, that's why I'm couching it in.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, is it actually even feasible? But this particular one, I think, is important
I
because
agree.
some of them are obsolete, some of them are incomplete, some of them are they speak slightly conflictingly to the charter. It just needs a full read.
But also, and my take on that too is that the procedure bylaw is absolutely has to be perfect for this council. Otherwise, we have no power to work.
Somebody's been reading the community charter, I can see.
Yeah, and so we have to jump on that one like yesterday.
I agree.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's couldn't agree more.
I do these little car trips now with my wife driving. She likes to drive her new car. She won't let me drive it. So I sit there with my iPad and I'm reading all the websites and reading all the documents I have to catch up on.
That's good.
Works really well.
I'm doing a course on local government corporate administration right now, and bylaws is doing a big chunk. And it's really interesting what ought to be in place.
And also the distinction in bylaw and policy. When is it a bylaw, when is it policy, and when is it a procedure?
Yeah.
So, we just need to regularize all of that so that it can all be put in a database and check for dupes.
The bylaw is what gives you the power, the council power, period. The policies tell you how to do things,
Yeah.
but they don't give you the power to do anything.
Yeah. And the procedures
The
tell you how you're
procedures
going to do
And
it.
how you're gonna do it, that's right. I deal with that stuff all day long, so straightforward.
That's why you're doing it, buddy boy.
There you go.
That's great. And Helen, how are we coming on community?
So with my portfolio, number 1, I'm thinking I need a better name. Oh my God, I can't even explain what it is. Community
Pick the top
committee.
left word, what?
I don't know. Anyway, so but
Committee of the whole community.
whatever the name is, I found my 3 resident volunteers. They're Ruth Simons. I'm surprised she has the time, but she said yes.
She loves that stuff.
I know. So she brings like a wealth of experience. Oliver Gansky. So from
Oliver also likes that stuff, and he's quite good. He can be a real spark plug sometimes.
Yeah, he's quite radical on occasion, but that's good.
That's a good thing.
I said it in the best of intent.
I'll pass.
and
I'll
then
pass across
Megan
more than
Jury.
once.
She would fit the role of the community activist. So yes.
Sounds good to me.
It's got your name on it.
Yeah, it's your choice, really.
And can I change the name of this committee?
Yeah, yes. What do you got?
I don't know, got nothing.
Okay. What about your terms of reference?
Did I send you over a first draft?
Yeah.
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 So I don't know what to do with that.
I'll take a squiz at it.
Okay.
I looked at it, I haven't.
And then I think I sent over one, to Fred, and you said it looked okay.
Yeah.
But if someone can, because I've never done a terms of reference, I don't know.
Well, I mean, what I'd like to do is that the super committees or the portfolio committees' terms of reference must be harmonised. So right now they're all over the place.
Yeah.
The old infrastructure committee one referenced the community charter, the wrong section, by the way. The finance committee one that exists today references more citizen members than council members. So even though it says it's a standing committee, it's actually not. So on and so forth. The only thing, Fred, I thought was I like the one that we have for the IC right now because it's very broad. But don't forget that in your portfolio is fire and rescue, search and rescue, ESS, and ambulance.
Mhm.
So as long as that's covered by those terms of reference, cool. I think it says infrastructure. What's infrastructure? Well, that's anything that's infrastructure. But so I just thought I'd mention that just in case that those aren't covered. And we're on the same deal. I think the committee definition sheet that we have, that big that matrix. The only thing that I thought that it spoke to there was loans potentially, but that's all fine. I think the scope of the document's fine. But we do need to. So the point being then that when we put all these terms of reference together, they must be the same. Same in
Yeah.
format, same in scope. Not reference the community charter, or at least if it does, at least the right section.
They should be based on the same template,
That's what I'm saying.
all the same.
Yeah.
They should have the same similar language in them, same template, the same order so people understand how they flow. And my God, not narrow like this. We gotta have some room to be able to do our work. We found that on the highway committee.
So that we're not all inventing the wheel here. I think you've seen many. Who's the farthest along in this?
Fred's.
So,
ICs.
so Fred theoretically would be the guinea pig template.
Yeah, I'd say so. Right, Fred?
Well, I suppose,
I mean, it's in here. We can look at it in council meeting, or we can look at it now if you want to. It's in reports,
Well, my person raising this is a.
page 19 of 150.
All
If you
run
want
off and do our own thing, you're right.
Page
The
19.
19
councillor
of the
uses
reports
mine.
section. It's very short. It's adequately broad, but not everywhere.
What page is that?
19 of 150.
Thank you.
Well, it occurs to me as we're talking about this, is that I'm looking at my portfolio and there's so many aspects of it. Should we be not talking more about a portfolio term of reference as opposed to the infrastructure committee term of reference?
It's just a name, so yeah, sure. Yeah,
Um,
infrastructure portfolio. I don't know.
Because if we're gonna have the infrastructure committee focus on what they need to do best, it doesn't necessarily deal with all the issues with the emergency committees, like for example, fire, ESS and all that. And I think it gets a little too distant. For example, I have something from ESS coming tonight. I wouldn't wanna have to run that through the infrastructure committee to get it to council. I think that's something alongside. So if the infrastructure committee terms of references are gonna be, or terms of reference are gonna be nice and concise, if we're gonna have all the subcommittees under that within the terms of reference, it's gonna get big and unwieldy again.
I would suggest that any subcommittee has an entirely independent set of terms of reference. So it's not subject to the supergroups terms of reference at all. It's got a separate set, like tree committee. It doesn't refer to, I don't know, it's under government. But that is why the composition of the super committee is so important. So right now on the infrastructure committee we have a lot of engineers and we don't have, well, we have one ESS fire guy, that's you. We probably have one too many engineers, and so we may need to think about the composition there in terms of what it is that the scope is. Now, so for example, if there is an ESS thing, maybe you run it through a subcommittee only to come up with recommendations. As the chair, of the super committee, it's your call. What you agendarize, what you discuss, what you bring to council for. I mean, somebody has to decide. Ultimately, council has to make a decision.
Right.
As I said to Ron, I think you've probably all seen it. The whole, I've now worked out what Don Lidstone was doing when he wrote the community charter. The idea was for big councils not to have to all talk about the detail. It doesn't really work for a small council like ours because, you know, we're talking 3 or 4 of us on every committee just to make adequate numbers to fulfill the requirements of the charter. So if it had been me, I would have analysed the number of small municipalities, 3/4 of them, and just had one kind of committee, all appointed by council with no restriction on numbers. But okay, so the charter has done what it's done. But the idea is, it's just a subcommittee of council, potentially bringing in some experts to help with the heavy lifting. In the case of the policy and bylaw thing, you know, there's going to be some work there. You're going to have to divvy up. You know, you take this stand, you take this stand, and come back with your recommendations. So it's going to be divided up and then reconstituted.
But I got a lawyer.
Maybe you can contribute some of his staff's time as well. Well, he volunteered, so.
Oh, he did, yeah. And he was more than happy when I called him.
Told you. Fred?
Yeah, well, going back to the thing of, well, first of all, I got to say, I got to give Mandy credit for this. She did the research and she did the keyboard work on it, and I just said yes.
Yeah, it's great. This is what it should look like.
I don't want to take her credit. I guess I'm still thinking. I think I'm compartmentalizing the different aspects under the infrastructure portfolio, and for me that would work a lot easier than, like I was saying, trying to get some sort of hierarchical system in there. If it just sort of fans out so that we have these different aspects, even though one is listed as a subcommittee of the infrastructure portfolio. Because I don't expect a bunch of engineers to know how to deal with fire issues, and I wouldn't want to insult them by asking them for an opinion on something they're not expert on. Whereas the infrastructure committee itself, I don't think you can have too many engineers. I think every one of them is worth their weight in gold for this community for what they're coming to offer. So I'd like to see a bit of a separation on there if we can.
The infrastructure committee is one committee, and maybe the government bylaw might be similar in nature, in that it has the ability to be quite broad in a lot of situations. And when we've got as few people as we do on the committee, we have to be able to pass the stuff off to a subcommittee to deal with stuff, so we don't, the whole bunch of people don't have a whole bunch of stuff on their plate to deal with that you can never deal with. So you're gonna have to have it sectioned or broken up in that way so that you can break it out when you know you're gonna need it. For example, the water stuff that we're doing right now, okay, that's gonna be huge, and there's gonna be a lot of work there, and it's gonna be really, really difficult even to splinter it off to a group, but we're gonna have to try, because all the other stuff eventually is gonna come up. Highway's gonna start doing it again, maybe, and that might get big too, we don't know. And there's all sorts of stuff, the roads, that's a whole separate issue.
Right.
Even the beach park and the sewer system, and it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, I don't think that this is the infrastructure committee's terms of reference, not the portfolio.
Yeah.
Right.
The portfolio is really just a sort of a gathering to try and get similar things together.
The umbrella.
It's an umbrella.
Well, it's your
Yeah.
reference point for topics.
Yeah, and so we know pretty much, we can say, that's Helen's.
But during the committee, what will happen is that you'll dig a hole, and you'll get down into something, and you realize, oh my God, we have to get this done before we do this, before we do that, before we do that. And when you do that, you're gonna have to be able to pull 2 people off and say, you're gonna solve this and come back to us. And then you're over there, you guys are gonna solve that and come back to us. Otherwise, you won't be able to handle it.
Okay, I think that's right. So the terms of reference are for the named committee. So these are the infrastructure, and infrastructure is what it says here, not ESS, not fire.
So it's not really,
That's sub.
it's not really a super committee.
It's not really a
No,
super.
No.
That's a super portfolio.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a super portfolio, but this is not.
But
a
you guys
super-
run your portfolios, and you will have multiple terms of reference for the various committees that make up that portfolio, the umbrella.
But yeah, I think the term umbrella is right, but it's an umbrella of similar, although not totally related, items. And I think that's why they're in these sections.
So, back to the model, the infrastructure one may well be a good model to use, as long as
think it
we
is,
follow
yeah.
it and use it, and if we can section it, we will. We have to, have the ability.
So the CAO to pigeon Councillor Hughes. I can see looking at this one, thank you Councillor Bain, that it's page and a half is much more streamlined than 4 pages, so that's always better. It's broad enough that it's broad. And I'm gonna get, for me, with the finance super portfolio, or whatever I choose to name it, if Councillor Watterson is
Nothing
my
too
lead on-
outlandish.
My choice, though. So long story short, if I could, this is broad, but within the breadth, there's enough definition.
I think so, yeah.
So,
We should do some research on what's out there to help us word it, but
I've seen some really good documents online, and some really bad examples come from down south.
well, I mean, Councillor Bain and the CAO have already led this. You got a page and a half template, which looks like it's gonna get refined, if not finalized tonight. So to the original question, we could all plunk it and say, there's my 90% document.
Yeah, it's a template, like
And
you-
we fit
like
it
you said at the
in,
beginning.
which I agree with Mayor Burr that things become homogenized, and there's, I mean, if it's got the blessing of administration, then let's go.
Start out as simple as possible, as clean as possible. If we need to modify it, we can modify it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll redo mine to 1 page. I think currently. it's
This
a
looks
lot.
like Mandy's handiwork as well, so
So I
it's,
can
the
give-
template's good.
Do you want me to?
Oh, this, I'm looking at the, no wonder it's the same. That's
No,
very familiar.
yes. So I can redo mine following this template, take out
I
a whole
can
bunch of
send you.
stuff.
Do you want me to send it to you, the template?
Okay.
Then you can just plug things in
Yeah.
under the headings.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yours has got the broadest scope.
Yeah. But this doesn't really it doesn't list all, so I can follow this. I don't have to put all
You
the,
don't have to.
Well, if it, I mean, those are the things
Okay.
you're supposed to cover. If
Yeah.
if it doesn't fall under the named committee, then you must have subcommittees that
Yes.
handle it.
Yeah.
Like the school liaison.
Yeah.
Okay, clearly that's a community committee thing.
Yep.
The North Shore Substance Abuse,
Yep.
probably not. It's specialised.
okay.
I mean, I'll just. I'm already discovering. There's a lot of calls for your time. I've got meetings every night this week. Just things that you kind of need to go to. You need to either show your face or be aware of. Okay, anything more under subcommittees? For now, everybody looks like they're proceeding nicely. I added another item that was the organics program. This was just a heads up. So
The what?
the organics.
Oh, the organics, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The green waste. We should actually come up with a brand on
Green
this
can,
one.
it's called Green Can, right?
The green
That's-
can program.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't want to call it organics ban.
The little frozen stuff that goes in the green can.
It's not frozen.
So, where it's working well. I think people realize, hang on a sec, this is actually quite convenient. But take-up has been low. So I put out, I would say, I went and put the flyers on the garbage cans on last Friday morning, and I'd say way more than half needed a flyer. 60%, let's say. That's after some pretty serious marketing. So point being that this Friday there will be screams. People will be calling. Do you have a script?
In
Without
terms-
getting snarky.
Other than, well, I mean, we have
Not
been
you getting
communicating
snarky.
this since the middle of December. We have. It was
Yes.
communicated metro-wide long before that. There's always gonna be screamers.
I would suggest you will get, I'm not going to bet you, but I would suggest you're going to get 100 phone calls.
Well, I've had about 24 emails in the last week about
Protesting.
the village banning organics. So the messaging is,
So all I would
people
suggest we need,
interpret also sometimes what they choose to interpret, no matter how good we put the information out. So
apparently we're
we can
supporting
just
highway
keep
barriers.
trying to communicate it. So the intent this week is to put a notice at the post offices on Wednesday. Reminder: there's no garbage pickup this week. Another e-post on Wednesday because Friday, of course, is too late. And just
And that sandwich board, the big baby, not an 8.5 by 11, an actual this size poster, maybe with poster paint, I don't know. But of course, it's only one. There's two other exits to the village.
Why don't we go to an electronic one?
Oh, well, no, it's got to be approved.
We can lease one.
It's in the short-term regs. So it was a weatherproof screen at the entrance with time, temperature, electricity consumption, and notices.
You'd be surprised the number of communities that use them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Every time I stop for gas on I-5 heading down to California, you get good ideas. Those people are progressive.
To the organics piece, how can we all pitch in our own little way? Let's noodle this one here. I mean,
My first suggestion is that there's a script so that the people handling the front desk don't make it worse than better.
Well,
Not as good as a wink to a blind man.
And with the script, can it not be, you should know that we've had this message out there for a month?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think the message needs to be kind but firm at this point. We've been, it's on the website, refer people to where they can get the information rather than repeating it. Sometimes you need to empower people to go find it and tell them where they can find it. We have the printed pieces at the front counter that we can hand out like we have been doing.
The point is, if people don't know about it, it's not their fault. For whatever reason, they don't know about it. They don't know. They're not attention-paying kind of people.
But I think you'd be hard-pressed at this point to say that people actually don't know. We did the ad mail, and I realize that only reaches 350, 325 mailboxes.
You can't walk across a bridge without seeing Mr. Spaghetti Head,
Yeah, so...
or whatever he's called.
It's noise. People don't even pay attention.
But is that then... I guess that's the question, is willful ignorance...
It's our
how
problem
much
until
more
we
can
solve
we
it.
do when the lack of uptake becomes willful ignorance?
Well, where the rubber will hit the road is a Friday morning. So that's where everybody will then get the message.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened in North Van a year ago when we went to organics. People screamed and hollered for the first month, and then off they went.
Can I ask a question, Mandy? Did you get a mail out in North Vancouver, or like a letter through the mail?
No, I got what I got was the countertop bin dropped on my doorstep the day the ban took effect.
Because
No lead up.
They actually are going to, everyone's getting a letter mailed. They've been advertising it over the last month on the website and through e-posts. But they're actually mailing a letter to all houses, and then there's no argument. Then no one can say, well, I don't get the website, or I've been away for a month, or whatever.
So maybe
Everyone
that's an
knows.
idea with the utility bills. Or is that too
Yeah,
late?
well, that'd be the end of February they get those.
Yeah, that'll be too...
It will go in there anyway.
Yeah.
it's another one of these issues. It's our problem until we solve it. So, it's the same as the water leaks. Yes, I know most of the leaks are now on the private side of the valve. But until people know about it, it's still our problem. This is still our problem.
I think it may not be as bad as that, because
You think
when
everybody's waiting till the last minute?
No, because when I did the walkthrough, up on my road down mountain, there was like about 80% uptake. There was hardly any, I didn't have to stick many of those flyers. Down your road, not so good. But in the last week, I've sold 50 green cans. So that's 50 more than last week.
That's 10% of the village.
Yeah, so,
Those little cans stand out really well too. People know what they are when they see them.
Well, there's a bit of a green can, does it mean it's physically green, or does it have the green can sticker?
No,
Or
it's physically green.
no,
So,
as long
my
as it has a
neighbours-
Or is
sticker.
it has a sticker?
My neighbours, they've got a massive ash can, black, with a taped sign, but on the top, green can. So of course the guy driving the truck can't see it. So, the message hasn't quite gotten out to some people, but...
Well, mine's got one on top and on the front.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Sounds like it is going to be what it is. Anybody want to bet on 100 phone calls? Okay.
I say no.
Yeah,
You
I
say
agree.
no?
I'm with you.
I think we should bet on it closest to.
I say 9.
Okay, I bet more than 100. And I will
close-
buy everybody beers.
Close of business Friday? And emails don't count.
No, email should count.
Now you're making it tough. Okay,
It's terms of reference.
fine.
I'll take
Okay.
the emails.
I'm actually just looking for an opportunity to buy people beer. Okay, that was it for the organics program that I had. Anybody else? Gone. I move to adjourn. Second.
No,
Oh,
sorry, it's info, if I may, since it's a strategy session.
yes, go ahead. With pleasure.
Library, I understand, is doing a painting this week, next week. The bidder is in, stuff is there, so that's going to have a happy ending very shortly.
Fantastic.
Finance Committee, for the council members, the items are in the package. If they'd like to stay after the meeting for a minute, maybe we'll chat.
Yeah, one thing on that actually, Ron. We were provided a timetable by Hurry, and I've now lost it because I scanned it and I didn't bring the damn thing.
I have it somewhere, so I know, but we can chat about that too.
Okay, so
Sorry, what I propose to do is just alert the council members to this evening's information.
yeah. Oh, here it is. So this, we're already a little behind on that.
Yes,
Okay.
so,
But you're still sanguine that we're okay?
So to speak to this was kind of Hari's snapshot of how he saw things potentially rolling out. None of these are legislated deadlines, with the exception of May the 15th.
Yeah, there's just a few towards the end, yeah.
So we've just brought a new CFO to sit in the seat. Hari has unfortunately decided not to follow through with the carryover that he originally promised us with. I think we have to take this with a grain of salt while our new CFO gets comfortable in the role. There are no deadlines looming.
Quite frankly, the longer we can defer the budget final decision, the better, because we're still trying to understand what we want in. The IC still has to meet to come up with preliminary, let alone other recommendations. There's a whole bunch of new stuff that I got slapped on the wrist for jumping the gun on, because I thought there was a pressing need for the budget, judging by that list. So there's a bunch of stuff. On the other hand, until we pass the budget, we're sort of treading water. And especially in an election year, we're looking at May until we actually have a budget that we can start working towards. That's a loss of 5 good months. Okay, so there's maintenance stuff, operational stuff that can be done. But in theory, nobody can jump the gun on any capital expenditure. We can't fix the beach. So there is somewhat of a pressing need to get the budget preliminarily passed. And whether there's a subsequent, I don't know. The only legislated date is, when is it, 16th of May, I think?
You have to have it into the province by the
Yeah,
15th of May
15th of May, we have to have submitted our 5-year plan
and adopted our budget and our 5-year plan.
by that date. I would hope that it would be somewhat before that, so we actually know where we stand. We don't lose, because right now we're treading water, waiting. So that is the time imperative. That's why I keep going, but let's get the budget on the move.
Haley, does the audit affect that at all?
Time-wise, no.
The prior year audit.
Yeah, the things that are in the
That happens in
5-year
April.
plan though, everything that's in the 5-year plan is approved as a bylaw right now, so anything that was put into the 2015 budget last year, that actually technically is approved right now, and things like that can move ahead.
That's true. Some of them need to be pulled, pending the infrastructure master plan. For example, a lot of the rock scaling work at MAG. Until the IMP tells us we're going to keep that particular intake, we shouldn't spend any more money on it, other than safety.
Sorry, and Haley, just to add to that, does that then require a 5-year plan amendment bylaw to pull them out?
You would just amend them in the new one.
So the new one just takes precedent.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would have
The
expected.
the pressing issue from my past government experience is that we have to be careful what we spend if it's not already allocated in a budget, okay?
Okay.
Because a lot of our stuff, a lot of our expenditures, a lot of stuff we do ourselves is already allocated in a budget for the year, and that's not likely gonna change much. What is gonna change is the spending outside of our funding, so to speak.
Well, the thing is that
Exactly.
in the prior budget that was approved by the last council, and some of it came through the infrastructure committee, that we said, yeah. Quite a lot of that has not been done.
Yeah.
It's still good to go, unless this council says no.
Yeah.
I looked at some of them. Most of them probably still need to go anyway. Some of them have been completed even since the last financials. But there are potentially some that we could kill, pending a bigger project, smaller project, different project. But right now, Nikki is still planning on doing this until she's told different. So there's a time issue.
Okay,
Are you pointing at the clock?
Yes.
okay. With regards to the budget, should we not also have a priority list
I'd
to
be-
coincide with the
uh,
budget to know? what-
Councillor Watterson, I presume I'm going to be asked this evening to talk about this. That's one of the items I'm going to address.
A priority list, yeah, because don't you need one to put together a budget to know where we
Well,
should be?
so Mandy's been asking for our priorities.
Approve the priorities before we can start any
Yeah.
work on them or allocate any funds to them.
We haven't, well, we had one priority meeting, that illustrated the need for a fairly high-level sort of strategy session, yes. Between now and the end of the year, or the budget being set, no, not between now and the budget being set, we need to establish some form of priority. Failing a full strategy
Yeah.
session with consultants and spending, which is not approved yet, how do we do that? How do we set strategy?
You pass a resolution, you pick your top 5. What you reasonably expect this year to look like. Pick your top 5, set a preliminary goal list while we're building the budget. We have those kind of on our radar. We know that those are the things that are likely to come down the pike. Now when the budget comes forward, I don't think there's going to be a ton of surprises, really.
No,
So
none, I would
that initial preliminary list of strategies should be reasonably accurate. It
But now
helps give us some
strategy-
direction.
Is strategy a task list? Fix the beach. Is that a strategy or is that a task?
Well, that's a task.
Well, I mean,
wait,
this is a strategy session, so I don't know if we do it now or we do it the next one.
Oh, can we get whoever, I forget his name was, can we have another meeting with him? And have him help us put together those
a
5?
formal meeting, right?
Hmm?
A formal meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
If I may then, since I was hoping to glimmer over this, but just to, on the piece on the Finance Committee and what'll have happened this evening, so I'll make that recommendation. In advance of that, as the CAO has said, we've had a change in personnel. That's created a bit of a problem. So in terms of timing for deliverables, Mayor Burr and I have asked for a simple, rough cut budget. We've already done one, as you'd said. It had certainly the numbers that were there, but I've asked for clarity on the numbers, not in terms of the minutia of what they mean, but to segregate them so that the revenue is clear, and I think most would agree that when that's presented, it will be clear, and that there's surety with that. The expenses for the operational will be probably 95% sure. What will stream to the, well, let's call it disposable part, is really, as we've been talking about, the priorities, but the priorities mean different things to Mayor Burr, to the works manager, to other things that we're not all aware of. So to try and get as much of it onto the one page so that with the revenue piece there, the expenditures itemized for operations, we are left with X amount of dollars to go as we may be recommended, or for what staff believes are their top ones, whatever they are, don't know. And then I think the IC has got some wish list stuff, and I think the CAO has some minor wish list stuff too. So the objective really here is to get to that point as quickly as possible. And I think the next time we meet, not this evening, but the time after that, we should be able to pin an exact date where all of council sees a numerical projection itemizing exactly what I've just described.
And how will we, so right now we've all put in wish lists for CapEx and expenditure. At some point, council has to discuss those. Yes, no, yes, no.
I suspect, Mayor Burr, that, and the list is quite lengthy.
It's too long
that,
for what we have, yeah.
My hope would be that with the new appointment that we will meet with them and skinny that down to where the really harsh decisions are made, and then it'll be put to the side and then ultimately come back to council for vetting. I suspect that this is, in my view, this is a very black and white year. But if there's a project that desperately needs to be done that's not already approved in the 5-year capital expenditure plan that's already ongoing and is an active document, or if it's something new, it could come forward.
But that's where we come back to this planning strategy, whatever the case is, because our initial goal was to come up with a hot list, not so hot list, cooler list, and all the way down the line like that. And so we still need to start with that process. And that's where I think, Helen, you were coming from, you say another strategy session or something like that. And I think that's what because it's nice to say in a paragraph that we're gonna do this conceptually, but at the end of the day, it's tough to make those decisions right up front. What are we gonna do first? We have to know intuitively what we've got funding, like you say, what's already in place, but we also, more importantly, know what pressures are put on us from the community right now to do certain things. Water, for example, we have to do something quickly with all that stuff. And so the strategy session, the more we talk about it, the more important that strategy session comes as soon as possible. Not
I think that's right. So
because May, we have to have this all finalized. Like, we have to have our budget in, we have to have all that stuff, and we have to go through, we have to get through with our CFO, all that other stuff as well.
and that's the drop dead
And
then.
that's right. That's
Until we
right.
get there,
So this
we're
is something that
waiting.
needs to happen very, very quickly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Councillor Hughes, the impediment is that we were on this side of the door,
Yeah, that's right.
and we're not doing the work for this. We don't do the work, it's an operational issue. So we've asked for the information, changes of personnel, that timetable has been put to the side for a minute. So I suspect that we will come very shortly with a more detailed list of everything. And it's, to a certain extent, the financial position is, in terms of revenue and operational expenses, cookie cutter exercise. The other part is where it really gets difficult, is to make sure that everything's in without favoring. It's not for the Mayor Burr or I to favor any particular project, because everybody will see what it is, but there'll probably be a recommendation of this would be the A list, and this would be the B, and this would be the C.
Who's
Fred?
deciding that?
Let Fred talk.
Yes.
In years past, we have always come up with a provisional budget before the, as you call it, the drop dead date in the middle of May. And I would think the provisional budget would have something like Randy's talking about, your 5 key items, but just on a very high level, so that you have some working direction. And I don't think that would be too hard for our new CFO to generate something based on the many things that we've got with minimal input at this point, although they will need some sort of direction. But you know, to your point about the wall at the beach and stuff, you could have some sort of contingency in there for what you can't see that may pop up from now till May.
No?
I'm just, when you say there'll be a list, A, B, and C, who's deciding what's on A, what's on B, and what's on C? You?
For the sake of argument, let's say Mayor Burr and I'll provide you with the list, with the numbers. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, so
it's not up to any one or any two people to make decisions on behalf of council, but
So A would be a must-do, things that we must fix.
I think the A would probably be where, let's say it is Mayor Burr and I with staff would say that, you know, in a 10 out of 10, all the A's were 10 out of 10, and the B's were tougher calls. Don't know what those B's look like.
Essentially, we'll come back with recommendations,
Yeah.
just as sort of a subset of the IC.
Yeah, and
We'll
it
come back
really,
with spending
it's,
recommendation.
I'm not to say that people can't comprehend the information, clearly is not the thing, and it's not that the information was proprietary, that is clearly not the information, but having done this for a while, I can say that the information, there is reams and reams of it, and it's really to get it down to a 2-page format that people can say, I have faith in the revenue, I have faith in the operational expenses, here's the, let's call it free cash flow, here's what we could do with it, and then pick from the pots.
Really?
Just to add to that, in terms of the ABC level, the A level things tend to be the health and safety issues and the things that we are mandated by legislation to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we will, I suppose Ron and I, as representatives of the FC, will come up with the recommendations to the wider body, to the council. I suspect we'll also show you what we say are below the line this year. The challenge is that we've already found, given the revenue that we're projecting in a pre-tentative sense, and the costs that we know that we're saddled with in a pre-tentative sense, there's not a lot to play with.
And remember, there's operational issues from the asks from the different departments that have to be dealt with too, so that, I mean, the information is a little bit skewed to give you, again, it's not proprietary information, and the choices are not proprietary. It will all come back to council for the whole deal, but really, it's a matter of cleaning up the data so that, short of it asking what a particular project or item might be, that could be quickly dealt with. The council members are not doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Well, I will be particularly insistent, given that this is the first time I've seen this, we need to know what we get for the money. So, there's budget X, there's a staffing model involved in the cost, and there's an expenditure model for, let's just as an example, public works. What do we get for that? How many times is the beach lawn mowed, and how many times does the trash can get emptied? And what does it cost us if we go to half that? And what does it cost if we go to double that? So Nikki's well aware of this, because public works spends most of our money. Nikki's well aware that we need to understand what the service levels are. Yeah, Jim, I think you're next.
I don't know where to start. This is a adjustment year for the village because of the new election and the new people, the new council and stuff like that. The decisions about what we're going to do this year are more far-looking than what we're actually physically going to do. In other words, our projection may be to look at how we're going to do this, how we're going to finance this, and this. Planning. It's a planning deal. We talked about this before as a group. And so it's important that what we're going to come up with this year is going to be more planning oriented than anything else, other than the stuff that's already in the budget or pre-approved by the last council that we think we need, we still need to do.
Yeah, that we don't want to kill.
So it's not really, boom, this has to be done. It's what direction are we going to take so we can succeed in the next 3 years after this year. That's what our goal is. So we have to proceed with this. We're not going to fix the water right now. We're not going to fix, but we are going to come up with a plan that will help it. And we may want to bring in an expert to help us write one of the documents we need to apply for funding when it's up, or something like that.
Well, that's right. I think we probably all know where we're going in terms of our major spend, and that would be $120,000 budget ask for an infrastructure master plan.
At the same time, our major portion of our budget is our staff and our commitment to the village and doing the work that we do, the staff do here. And so we're tweaking that, adjusting that to see what has to be done. We're not really spending tons of money on that stuff. So it's already there, we're just adjusting it to make it tweak it so it works really, really well. That's really all what we're trying to do. So our goals this year are pretty simple, in my view. We just have some big things to do, planning wise.
Down the road.
Yeah.
Sure, there are projects that potentially, if we do push the button on them, they pay for themselves within months.
So having said that,
and save operational costs.
yeah, our really biggest goal, we talk about this list of items that we have to do. A few of them are going to be major planning issues of where we're going to get money and how we're going to do this and how we're going to break it off. And some of them are going to be little fix-it items that we can already do within our budget, within our staff levels and stuff like that. So that's just my simple take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struck anew at just how tightly the budget is adhered to. So, for example, every check that gets signed is checked against the budget line item to be sure we're still under the cap. And it's well understood by Haley. I don't actually know how she keeps her mind on all of these things. So if a check's being presented for signature, it's within budget. On the other hand, is that budget correct? So I know Mandy, when she looks at staffing models, she's always conscious of the budget that we have for the staff as a whole, and where the money would come from, and so on and so forth. That's the thing that council needs to get a handle on. What are we getting for the number that we're agreeing to? X staff hours, X potential overtime hours, standby hours, all these many things, and is it enough? And this is, when you start talking about it, the budget is actually the oversight tool. And the presentation of the budget's everything. The sooner we can get it, the quicker we can get going on some of the spending things. Although, unfortunately, as we already know, there's not going to be a whole lot of spending money this year. We've already committed a good portion of it on the IMP, the unknown with the IMP is the funding that's going to come out of the provincial infrastructure grant program.
This is your area of expertise. Anything to add?
Well, I mean, normally what would happen is the budget would come forward with the knowns, so we know what the staffing level is because we already have the staff, and the PP increase is not something we can negotiate, it's there. So that's a set item. Other things, maintenance and those kind of things don't change that much.
But so, for example, maybe Mandy says with one more person we can get 3 times more something.
And that would be
Street
a
sweeping.
proposed thing, so basically the budget would come with, this is what the budget looks like with the knowns, and then everything else would be a proposed item underneath, so if you want this is what it is, and this is what the potential
Exactly. So
tax
that's
implication
the
would be.
fixed part. Okay, that is what it is, and the fixed part's quite high.
But this year, it's like Jim says, I mean, you all come in here saying that this is going to be a prime year, and if you have the imp in there, there is really no more money unless you're going to tax for it. There's no money in the reserve.
Thanks. So you actually,
capital.
I forgot the second part of my point was, so if we want to do anything more than some pretty basic stuff, we're going to be looking at loans.
Just
Yes,
More than the infrastructure master plan.
from a scope point
you'll
of
still
view,
have to tax for that.
Right.
our budget's like this, the amount we've got control over is like that.
And normally what would happen for the capital stuff?
Yeah,
is all-
and we need to, and that's what we're working in, and we
Yeah.
need to figure a way to get that.
So the department heads would come forward with their budget, and you know they'll have the items that they know that we need, but they always put a business case. So the way our capital budget is done in the past is if anybody's asking for any capital item, there's a business case as to why we need it, what the financial implication is, where the money is coming from, what does it mean to operating, and then council will look at it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those business
Prioritise.
cases because we've seen a lot of us from fire, for example, with no business case attached yet. Presumably it's in the background somewhere. But council will want to be seeing all those
Oh, yeah.
business cases, obviously, to understand why we need $10,000 more radios, or whatever the number is. Ron, are you going to be presenting some budget stuff in the?
I believe I'll be presenting this evening.
I can't remember the agenda. Okay, that's great.
It's the water rates.
Oh,
The water.
So
yeah,
that-
the
so
water,
that's
the
what
water,
water and waste.
and
the
solid
water and
waste.
sewer rates. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not sewer, solid waste.
Is it solid?
Yep.
Water and solid waste, because those go on the utility bills that get mailed out in February.
Yep.
What about the sewer?
It's done on the tax.
Oh, that's tax. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I knew that. Okay. Anything more? That was all under the. Can I have my timetable back there, please?
I was gonna
Snaffle it.
copy it and give it to you.
I've changed it into a spreadsheet, so I'll send it to you now.
Thank you,
So you can actually sort by dates and stuff.
thank you.
Wrong binder. So that was the new business. Anything else under new business? There was a lot of good new business.
So, no, nothing new, but can I still then move forward with the planning part of?
That
All
is
this? Yes.
you're sort of your headline in
Yes,
that.
'cause we may not be, this is just planning, so we can't, because of the budget, we're not probably gonna be able to do much of it. But,
You still have to put it forward
Yes.
in order for it to be considered.
so how do I put it forward? Like this?
You put a wish list, and so we've already had some wish lists. I've got them all here. In fact, got yours. Many pages.
I thought I put in really small font and,
$74,000. I put some in. You didn't put any in, Fred. I don't think you put any in, unless it was on behalf of fire.
I put them in on behalf of fire,
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
mention of IC stuff.
Yeah. Ron, you didn't really have anything extra.
Staff has got some stuff.
You know, there's stuff that we're topically all aware of, like the beach wall about to collapse. Fix it now, it cost $3,000. Fix it later, it cost $30,000. There was another one of those. Fix it now, save a lot of money. Can't remember. Oh,
but I'm
it's
not
already
talking
happened.
about the wish list, I'm just talking about the action plan or whatever.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get
So I
the
understand
priorities
that.
moving.
So the budget for that. Well,
I think
And I can do it without any cost, can I do it?
I think you should
Absolutely.
think about what it is that you want to do and put a resolution forward.
Okay,
yeah,
what's
if there's extraordinary cost.
yeah, what's
That's
a
fine, too.
I don't know how this resolution thing works.
The,
What
the
is
only
it?
way that council can make a valid and legal decision is to either pass a bylaw or make a resolution.
So bylaws.
So we have to
are-
resolve to spend $5,000 on a strategic plan.
So,
But right now, I don't need to spend anything,
Do you need to make any request or task into staff?
barely,
Then you need a resolution.
okay.
Yeah.
And how is this
Manny will give you
resolution?
the wording.
that's an easy one.
Okay.
So
Good.
just figure out what you want to do and put it in a
So
resolution.
you start with the word whereas.
Actually, in my
in-
course, they say you don't.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I prefer,
What is it?
In terms of,
I prefer the word that myself.
That.
Yeah,
That.
Just say what you're trying to achieve. Don't muddle it with whereas,
Okay.
is what they say.
Whereas the world is round and
Yes.
the night is dark.
I can
and
help
keep
you
in
with
mind that a to-do list or a priority list will outweigh a wish list.
I'm struggling
10 to
to get
1.
my head around the whole chicken and egg. It's not exactly chicken and egg, but budget, wish list, budget
Yeah,
thing. We'll get there.
yeah.
Are we done?
Anything else? Good. I declare section 8 done. No, 7, beg your pardon. Public questions and comments. Say something.
The only thing I was wondering about is when you're talking about the substance use and having a representative do it, is it possible to have a resident do it?
Mandy's going to
Does it
check.
have to be a councilman?
I had asked.
And if
they
so,
didn't
would
answer.
Joanne be interested in continuing?
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly why I
great
asked.
That's
idea.
actually a
See
really
if
good
she
idea.
might
She
be
should likely,
interested.
she might, yeah, that's a really good
Would she?
idea.
Do we know?
I don't know. That
Don't
I just
know.
I wanted
We'll
to
have
ask
to ask
them
her.
first if we can do that, because if we can't, it's a moot point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Good thought.
That would be great.
I keep
She
it
can
up
earn her
for
volunteer hours. We're only doing that in 2016. Don't worry.
It's suddenly not volunteering anymore. You know that, right? And I just noticed something in our existing procedure bylaw. A motion for adjournment from COTW is not allowed. So we just simply adjourn when it is time.
Oh, so no.
Yeah.
So should it not be on
No
the?
motion. Well, we can put it in there that that's when adjournment will
So
occur.
just a declaration.
Yes.
Okay, I declare the meeting adjourned.
Yay.
There you go.
Wow.
Oh, one more. Garth, send us a Christmas card.